what are you looking for in the next manager?
Yeah, tough, smart, and passionate. Those are the three words that they've resonated throughout my career as a player, as an executive, what we look for in players, what we look for in all staff members, and certainly what we'll look for in a manager. So the toughness is, the ability to persevere and understand the demands of a major league season and off season. Smart, open-minded, collaborative, innovative, and open to the information and understanding how to get all of it synthesized. And then passionate, someone that's just constantly thinking about the environment, the 25-man roster, the 40-man roster, all of the people that are touching that and feeding into that 25-man roster, and what it means to create an environment that is of championship standard and expectation. And ultimately, Mike, for me, I can't imagine that the person's not going to be humble. And I can't imagine a person that isn't going to, want to be in this environment that we enjoy being around, because it is very important to me that I enjoy being around that person. And much like the relationship I have with Gibby, that I can laugh with and enjoy being with.
Ross, down the road when things aren't as fresh as they are now, and you look back at the 2018 season, how do you think you'll remember it?
One thing is just the transition of a lot of young players that was very exciting. Watching that young group of players come up here and look at ease and perform was very exciting. The acquisition of 13 players, adding that level of talent's a unique opportunity. We're glad we're able to take advantage of it. Obviously there was some highs and lows, and there were some tough times. There were some really difficult times trading away players that have meant a lot to this organization, and certainly we'll never ever forget the working days with John Gibbons, but I feel like I will forever have the relationship and the friendship. But we'll certainly think back to 2018 and we'll be reflective about Gibby.
Ross, you mentioned earlier about Aaron Sanchez and the procedure that he had done, but I'm wondering, were there any other players that at the end of the year had to have any kind of cleanups or any sort of operations going into the offseason?
No operations, no cleanups that I can think of right now, and so I think I would be able to. So no.
Just in terms of free agency, when you look at the next couple of months, how active do you expect to be? And I mean, is this more about bargain hunting and kind of filling in the spots in between the young guys?
No, it's certainly not going to be bargain hunting. I think we'll consider the trade avenues first and understand those opportunities, and a lot of our focus and attention will be on those, and then we'll be looking for complementary pieces, and I think the focus will be slightly more short-term in those acquisitions if we are in free agency than long-term. But we're not thinking about it in terms of bargain.
Ross, this season, and obviously there are no guarantees for anything, but there were a lot of gambles lost this season, whether it was Donaldson or whether it was the five-man rotation and only having one guy stay healthy and perform the way you thought. When you reevaluate those things, what do you take away from the process that led you to the gambles, and does it make you more reluctant, less reluctant in the future?
No, I mean, I would describe those differently than the way you described them, but in terms of risk-taking, all we think about is winning. And, there are certain times you're going to be more aggressive than not, and we were aggressive this year in free agency in trying to build upon the core of Josh Donaldson and Troy Tulowitzki, Aaron Sanchez, Marcus Stroman, and Jay Happ. Obviously, what we thought was going to be a very, very solid bullpen, it turned out to be a strength of the team, and that was without Roberto Osuna for the bulk of the year. So, when we have those opportunities again and to be aggressive in free agency, we're fortunate that we are in a market and have the support of ownership that will be able to do that.
Marco Estrada obviously just hit free agency. Would there be an openness to bringing him back? And what about Jay Happ as well once he's done his playoff run with the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's certainly an openness. Knowing and having more information than not is where we would prefer to be, so that can have value and bringing players back. You've seen that we've done that in the past. So happy for Jay Happ. I'm really happy with what's happened with him, and really been fun to pull for. He is off the charts, and the example that he sets for our players, everything that lead by example that's him, man. He's had an incredible impact on our young players, and Pete Walker's had an incredible impact on him, and their dynamic has been powerful for this organization. And what Marco Estrada has done in the playoffs for this organization, and how he's hauled innings with his effectiveness, is not something we will forget.
Given that, Ross, and given what Jay Happ can probably expect to get in the coming year and where you guys are right now, you're happy for him, but would he be a realistic guy you'd want to go out and try to sign as a free agent?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think he really enjoyed his time here. I think he values this organization, the people in it. I mentioned Pete Walker, the support that a lot of different people in this organization have given him. That is not just on the baseball side, but on the family side. The city, the fans, how much he enjoys being here should have some impact on his decision.
Ross, I understand maybe the reluctancy to use the word rebuild, but how would you characterize what's on the horizon for the franchise?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just that we've weathered a lot of the storm already over the last couple of years. You rebuild when your farm system is depleted. Ours is not. So our players have transitioned well, and some of our better players haven't transitioned yet. So that's an exciting place to be. That's what you rebuild to get to. Now, how quickly they transition is the difficult part to really put your finger on. It's hard to say how long that will take, and we're going to be patient, however. So that's why we won't be quite as aggressive in free agency this year.
Just for you, the emotion right now. You sit here 2 days after the season ended. Are you more disappointed about the way this season has gone, or more excited about kind of the stage you're about to enter?
I'm more excited. I really am, and that doesn't mean I wasn't extremely disappointed. I guess the reality of it is I've weathered a lot of that disappointment when we traded away Jay Happ and traded away Josh Donaldson. So that was very difficult. But as I sit here today, I could not be more optimistic about our future. I feel as confident as I've ever felt in my career about the future of this organization. We have so many good things happening in player development and scouting, and what that has meant in terms of return and early return is a robust farm system that we are excited about, and there's waves of talent that is coming. It's not just the guys that we saw in September. There's a wave below that and a wave below that. And I feel because of the work of Tony LaCava and Ben Cherington and Steve Sanders and Gil Kim, it's only going to continue. Extremely excited about what's ahead, but cognizant of that it has been painful to date.
Ross, of the young players that you saw transition this year, which of them positioned themselves in the best fashion to earn spots on next year's roster?
Yeah, I mean, the performances of it's twofold, right? It's performance and where we have playing time and significant playing time, because you don't want young players coming up here and not playing on a regular basis. But what jumps out at me is the young pitching, really. I mean, it was a little bit better than what we expected, and how well our young pitchers handled this environment. So, and the need. So, in answering that question as honestly as I can with the information I have today, that's where I'd point.
Russ, you've touched on the position players coming up through the system that you're excited about, and maybe this is oversimplifying it, but over the next couple of years, is it all about pitching, and more pitching, and trying to find it?
Yeah, I think over the next year, it will be. We have strong core position players, a lot of middle infield depth, and we have some interesting pieces on our major league team that we'll have to consider if there's a way to turn that into more controllable pitching. So, and it's not just from our major league team. If there's ways to turn our young players into pitching because of our depth across the middle infield, we'll have to consider that. The reality of it is we've always approached it as just acquire the best talent possible, and now we may break ties with pitching a bit.
As far as the two big-ticket veterans coming back next year, Russell Martin, Troy Tulowitzki, how do you see them being used next season?
Yeah, Russ will depend largely upon how he reports, what shape he's in, and how he's performing in spring training. In addition to that, is what his goals are for the season. How much he wants to catch, how much he wants to play some infield. We'll work with him on that. He's been remarkable in really so many phases of the game, but his ability to receive is so elite, and he makes our pitching so much better with his instincts and his game receiving and game calling that is a positive influence, and we would want that out there. We realize that could potentially come at the cost of playing time for one of Maley, Jansen, Reese McGuire, Max Pentecost, but he's earned that, and the benefit is worth it. As it relates to Tulo, it'll be health dependent. Tulo's driven to play shortstop, wants to play shortstop. That's important to him. We honor that and value that it's important. We can't guarantee that he's going to be our everyday shortstop, but there's just so much more information to come as it relates to how healthy he'll be.
I think we've talked about Vladdy's timeline. Where are you at with Bo Bichette, and do you think he could be a guy who could be ready by midseason? And how have you seen his progression at shortstop?
Yeah, he's been great. His everything you challenge Bo with, he focuses on, and that's a great attribute. And we've challenged him with his defense, and he's made it better. The year before that was just overall athleticism, and he improved his body, his speed, his overall agility at an incredible amount. So he just continues to get better. He's so young that there's so much opportunity for him. I think that he's only going to continue to become a better shortstop. He's only going to continue to become a better base runner in the short term. He's only going to continue to be a more well-rounded hitter and having a more solidified approach. But what he's done is so remarkable to date. So, could he be here at midpoint next year? Sure, that's certainly possible. But we'll be patient and make sure that we get everything we can out of him, and it's not just about his offensive line and how well that projects. Because him being the best base runner, the best possible defender, the best possible overall teammate, and what it means to lead an environment, there's real opportunities for that growth and development in the minor leagues.
And since we talked about Vlad and Bo, Kevin Biggio sort of forced his way into the picture this year. Whether it's Kevin Smith or whether it's someone below in those other waves, who else sort of pushed their way up the charts in the way the organization sees them with their year this year?
There's so many. That list is long. That really is. Like Rowdy Tellez's performance in September was powerful for him, for us. Chavez Young's a guy that doesn't get talked about much, that we're excited about in the lower system, and Pardino has already gotten off to an exceptional start, and for a young, very young pitcher, I could see him moving a little bit quicker than most because of his feel and ability to command 3 pitches. But that list is so long that I feel that naming even those 2 guys, I'm leaving too many players out.
I I want to ask you one more thing about the manager search. You were asked before about, because there's a feeling out there that the next guy has to be bilingual, has to be able to speak Spanish. And I know you said that that's not going to determine it, but from your perspective, how much has it helped you that you're bilingual, and how much do you think it would help potentially the next manager?
So on the first part, our staff needs to be bicultural and bilingual, and to the extent that we can, we would like it to mirror the game and mirror our team and mirror our organization and be representative of the team, the players that they are going to impact and influence. So it doesn't have to be the manager that is bicultural or bilingual. There would be great power to getting a Canadian manager here, someone that understands this market, but we can't have that be the driving factor, but it is a factor. So we need to factor all of those things in as we complement our manager. As it relates to me and being bilingual, I feel that it helps me a great deal. To the extent that it helps the organization is hard for me to quantify, but it helps me a great deal to be able to connect and relate across different cultures, and it's something I enjoy.
Russ, was there a point in this season where you knew it wouldn't be happening in 2018 and the focus could start to shift to the future?
Yeah, it was shortly before the deadline, and we knew that there was certainly some sentiment and feeling that we could get hot and things could turn. It wasn't that we were completely out of it, but the AL was a monster this year. You see, Tampa was, I can't remember how many wins they ended up with, but they never really significantly got into the playoff hunt. So, the odds were stacked firmly against us, even if we did get hot. So it was early to mid-July that we knew we really needed to shift the focus towards the future.